Good morning, everybody. I'm Romy, for those of you that don't know me. We are in Libby, Montana, getting ready to leave tomorrow and just haven't decided where we're going yet. We live in our RV full-time, and we're actually in our third year of full-time RVing, and we are loving it. The downside of that is that our internet is not good in some areas, and so it makes it so it's hard for us to stay connected depending on the area that we're in. So that's kind of hard. So I actually prepared a PowerPoint for today. Aren't you proud of me, Kenzie? So we'll see if we can, if I can screen share this. I know with PowerPoints, you're supposed to use it just as promptings, but there's different levels of learning. Some people learn with reading and some people learn with audio. So what I did is that I just went through and I captured some high points of a book that I've read, and they captured my attention, and I thought that they were good, and so I wanted to share them with you. And we're just going to go through it like that. Can you guys see my screen? Okay. So the book that I am going through is called Fearless Leadership, and it's actually by Carrie D. Lorenz. She was the keynote speaker at convention 2 conventions ago. So the first one that I want to do is feel the fear and do it anyway. So I had a story that I wanted to share with you guys, and I've wanted to share it for a little bit, and it kind of goes into this. So I have pretty much a love-hate relationship with the water. I love the water, but I am, for lack of a better word, I'm scared of it. And I'm very conscious of the words that come out of my mouth, so I try not to own that. So it's kind of pushing through. So just for understanding and for this part of it, that's what happens. I have to do self-talk every time I get out on the water. So I had an experience, and Mark knows about this. Mark's my husband, for those of you that don't know. Mark knows about this. I talk about it. When we went to the river this winter, I got a kayak because one of my desires was to be able to be out on the water and feel that peace and that calm. And I just knew that it was going to be cool out on the water, but the water's deep, and it's just, I don't really like that. So we happened to go to Gunlock Reservoir in southern Utah this spring. And a year ago, we had been to the reservoir, and it was very low. So we were able to walk across that reservoir. And when we got there this year, it was spring runoff, and the water had to have risen at least 20 feet. So I knew how deep the water was, and it was very dark. And so I wanted to be out on the water, and I pushed myself to it, went into this little back area canal, and had to push and paddle through some willows to get back out onto the main body of water. Well, in the meantime, there was a tree stump in the water. My kayak hit the tree stump, and I was doing the self-talk kind of thing. And all of a sudden, it was just like it was this eruption of instant hysterical crying, and I didn't even realize what was happening. I just knew that I was like holding my breath and pushing myself through that, and it was just kind of like a release of energy. And I pushed through and ended up going back through that the next day just to make sure just to prove to myself that I could do it. So I ended up having an experience after that showed me, the main point in that part of it is that even though there's fear, there's always something really cool, and to be able to push through that fear and to get to the other side to see what that is, even though you're scared to death of what that is. And the fear really is in our mind. And so that's what that is. But the other analogy that, and I could go on for days on analogies with water, just so you know. The other analogy that I have is that I had a couple of situations on the water. Actually, it was up here in Libby. One of our friends fell in the water while we were floating the water. Well, we're on the Kootenai River. It's very, very cold, very cold. And he had gone through the rapids, and it was within, 3 minutes we had him back up on the kayak, but he was already zapped, and so we all had to circle around. So I was next to him and hanging onto his kayak, trying to help him to get on. Well, my point in that is that my focus was on making sure that somebody was taken care of. My focus was on someone else and not me. And it totally took me outside the fear and allowed me to focus on that instead of the fear, and everything was okay. And so the point for me is if we take our eyes off of us and really focus on the serving and helping other people, sometimes it will make it easier for us to push through that fear. So that's what mine is. Okay, I'm done. Not really. So, oh boy. Oh, there we go. Okay, so playing small serves nobody. You never know who you will influence and change their course in history. So this is another really quick story. When I was driving the motorhome down from Minnesota, I had to drive the motorhome for like 6 hours. I had only driven it for an hour before that time. And Karina and I actually talked about this when we got there. I was driving through a city. I was at an intersection. It was very busy. We are very big. In case you haven't seen our rig, we are very big. We're over 60 feet long. We're big. And I was at the stoplight, and I looked down, and there was this car next to us, and there's this little girl in the back seat, probably 10, something like that. And when we made eye contact, she looked at me, and her eyes were just huge. And she was like, wow. And I just got this like picture, like immediately it's like she's a little girl looking at a woman driving something really, really big. And so when Karina and I were talking about it, it's like, you never know what your actions will do as far as how you will influence someone, even at a very young age, or even, as people are older. You never know how you are going to change someone's course of action. And so that's where the fearlessness comes in as well. So develop a why not me attitude. The first step in any leader's journey is accepting the fact that he or she is worthy of being a leader. Being a fearless leader, you must recognize your own value. I think that's a common thing that people really have to work through in the steps with that, is really accepting and knowing that we are worthy for all the goodness that God has for us. He wants us to have all the goodness. And it's really us that's telling us that we are not worthy, or the enemy is telling us that we are not worthy. And the big thing is just to know that we are. We just are, because God loves us, period. And when you lead with integrity, the message is clear. Your words and actions are one and the same. And to me, that's really important. We talk about authenticity and integrity and all of that, is that when we do, I don't talk to people any different, whether they're in my home or whether it's a stranger that I've met in the store. We really want to be truly who we are, so we can attract the people that we're supposed to attract. That's just common sense, really. Always put your people first, always. And I almost didn't put this in here because there is a fine line between, when do I put my people first and when do I put me first? And, that law of authority and all of that. To me, what this says is that the people themselves come first, not the dollar sign, not your paycheck, not your rank, none of that. It's the people themselves that need to come before all of that other stuff. And that is where, to me, that's my belief. Every great leader takes risks, and every great leader fails sometimes. Fearless leaders recognize that failures will occur and that the real enemy is not failure, but fear of failure. And again, I think that's pretty common. Nobody wants to fail, but it's just like learning to walk. I mean, when you're learning to walk, you fall. And when you're learning something new in your business, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But the only way that you're going to know if it's going to work is if you try it. And if it doesn't work, big deal. You just go on to something different and you'll find it. If you don't have the courage to set the vision, the tenacity to keep after it, and the integrity to pursue it, your team is going to be dead in the water. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I like this just because I love the words courage and tenacity and integrity. It's just, those are really, they're just, it's just great to have that. I think that it's important to have that. If you don't have courage to push through that fear and to be able to really be clear on what you're doing and do it anyway, then it's going to be really hard to help the people that are your team and the people that are in your life. You are the catalyst for getting your team moving towards the vision. Paint the full picture if you want your vision to be effective. Make it realistic and make it vibrant. And that's one thing that I've really, this has just been in the last few years that I've really started to do the actual visualization in my mind and to be able to really paint that picture for me. And to me, if we can't paint that picture for ourselves first, it's going to be really hard to paint that picture for your team. And some people don't, I mean, we all have individual goals and dreams, and then we have the team goals and dreams and the culture and all of that. And some leaders don't share their goals and dreams with their teams. I believe that, I think it's powerful if we share our goals and dreams with our team, because one, we're going to fall short with some of those goals and dreams. And if we are real and authentic and in our sharing with our journey with our team, and they see the realness of us, then when it comes time for them to stumble and they take a little bit longer than what they anticipated to get to one of their goals or their dreams or visions, when reality, when life happens, then we are that role model for them to be able to say, that's life. Stuff happens, that's life, and you just move on. It's normal, basically. You just teach them to push through. Remember to have fun, work hard, play hard. Karina and I actually went to it was a training long time ago, like 5 years ago probably, and I can't even remember the lady's name, but she was very high up in network marketing. And she said that if you're not having fun in what you're doing, then you're doing something wrong. And so that, and I think about that quite often, because there are times where we're striving and we're trying to push through and figure it out and all of that, but there's a difference between pushing hard for a goal and enjoying it in the process and struggling and hating what you're doing. So that's that has always been real stick in my head. Giving up is the only way to guarantee you won't achieve your dream. If you have an exit plan, scrap it. Seriously, one of the biggest things in doing business is to make a decision, stick to it, and don't have an exit plan. I've talked to some people. I actually talked to somebody here in Libby. She's on another team. She just decided she was going to do the business, and she was just asking questions. And she says, well, I figure in 6 months, if I haven't made enough money to cover the cost of my oils, then, you know, and I'm like, well, then you might as well quit now. So, because if we have an exit plan, that gives us an escape route, and it gives us an excuse to not work hard, to not make it happen, because, well, it might not work anyway. So what the heck? If we don't have an exit plan, we just do it. We've decided we're going to do it. We're going to make it work. Our dreams are worth it, and we're just going to do it, period. Build relationships. You can't expect your team to blindly follow your leadership if you haven't bothered to invest any time getting to know them. A real human connection builds a solid foundation. And this is, I mean, if you've listened to me at all, you know that this is something that I believe in 110%. I hear of leaders that have their customers, that they don't hear from their leader until it's time for the end of the month, Power 3, qualifying for your rank, and all of that. It's super important that way of business does not happen. If you have someone on your team that you are depending on for your business, the success of your business, please make sure that you're building the relationships with them. Don't expect them to be compliant and jump at your beck and call when you call them and say, you need to place an order because I need to rank this month. That is so not cool. Please don't do that. And so this is actually a recent picture. I love this picture. This is actually Laura Stone. She just went full-time in her RV with her family this last month. So they came through Libby. We were down by the river, and we were crossing the creek. So there's a couple of analogies here with this. One, we were just having a good time. Laura is very deep on our team, very deep. And but we have a great connection. We have Mark and I have a relationship with her and her team. We just have that community, and it really is about building the relationships on purpose. But when I saw this picture, it also showed me that this is kind of like business. When we're running and we're, hiking together, and sometimes we're at a level, we're walking side by side. Sometimes we're trailing, one after the other. And sometimes our team members just need to be carried for a minute. And so it's about loving them enough to carry them for a minute until they are able to walk on their own. Some people some people want their leaders to be independent right out of the gate and see you later. And I personally think that it's okay to carry them for a minute until they get it. So be fearless, follow whatever dream you have, and believe it's enough. Your dream is your dream. Please don't let anybody else pervert your dream, make you feel like your dream is not good enough. It's your dream, and it's none of their business what your dream is unless they want to come alongside you and cheer you on. So I came up with some affirmations, and I can actually post this in the group. I would love for you guys to just pick one of these and just use one of them that pertains to you, and pick one of your favorite oils through the process. I actually picked Passion and Motivate is, and I was going to go through and try and find some oils with the emotions and all of that, but the Passion and the Motivate are intuitively, that's just what happened to come up. And so I have a challenge that I want to, it's actually, I'm going to read it right out of the book because I just figured it would be a lot easier. So it's at the end of the book, it's in Carrie's words, and I think that it's pretty good. So for the next 30 days, think about what is possible and then start taking action to make your dreams, your future, a reality. You must do something different for this to happen. Sitting around hoping, wishing, dreaming of a better future for yourself or your team will not magically make stuff happen. Be intentional, be tenacious, be resilient, and be courageous. Bold, fearless action drives success. Your challenge is to confront your fears, to summon up the courage in spite of your fears, and go for it anyway. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. You learn to be fearless by living, not by being afraid. Fearless leadership is the difference between creating the life or the organization that you want and settling. We are only here for a little while. No matter where you are in the leadership journey, risk more, worry less, and don't settle. Be fearless. And that's what I got. Anybody got anything?
That was outstanding. And yeah, you're my sister, so I'm going to speak up first. But so I've had the pleasure of having my sister as my upline through all of this, and so I don't listen as quickly as a lot of people, and she's been spot on through all of it, and she is good at carrying and caring. When you need that boost, she's there. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Of course, I always say something. The affirmations, there were so many of them that were so good. The one that jumped out at me was, I radiate courage. How do you see that as, what oil do you think would be a good one for that?
Hope.
Hope? Okay, I've got it.
Thanks,
Hope.
Karina.
Thank you.
That's one of the things that that I learned early on when I signed up. Natalie said the oils will become intuitive, and I have that word for me is discernment. I have pretty good discernment, and when I first started, I was very, very careful about where that line was with what was right and what was moving into some really hokey stuff. So I prayed a lot about, what direction for education and different modalities with using the oils and all of that. And so when Natalie said they would become intuitive, I was like, okay. But it really has become, there are times we have amazing resources right at our fingertips. I don't think that I know we will never know everything, but there's also times where we don't have the books at our fingertips, and that is where it's really beneficial for us to really learn to trust ourselves and to listen to those small whispers. And so that's really what I've done that for a very, very long time. I feel like I have a running conversation with God all the time anyway. And so I just go to my oil box and it's like, okay, God, which one am I going to use? Because I've got different things happening. And I I have some pretty cool combinations, and the lemongrass and the cypress combination that I use on my back and I use for pain all the time, that was totally, okay, God, what do you want me to use? And that's what he gave me. And I had never used cypress before. Karina used lemongrass all the time when she started, and it was like, ooh, I don't like lemongrass. And so it really wasn't, oh, these are just oils that you use regularly, so you just put them together. I'd never used them. And so I think that it really is important to be able to come into that place where if you don't have all of those resources right at your fingertips, you still got the answers.
Thank you. That is perfect. And the running conversation with God, yeah, that's me too.
Anybody else?
Romy, I just want to say hi. Thank you so much. I loved your call, so thank you. It just reminds me of a quote, and I don't remember where I heard it from, but it's do it scared. And I just think it fits. If you're, if I loved your story at the beginning with the kayak, and you had that little bit of fear, but you did it anyway. And so do it scared. So anyway, thank you so much.
Love that. Thank you.
And Romy, this is Callie. I love this call. I must be about to start my period because I almost cried through the whole thing. I was like, oh my goodness. So even like seeing the picture of you holding, on your back, your team member, I just loved every part of this call. And it is such a good reminder for all of us. Yeah, and to breathe through our fear, because that's one of the things that we stop our breath, like literally we stop our breath, but we've got to keep breathing through our fear. I mean, that's a lot of the times when people pass out, it's because of either fear or pain. And so during fear or pain, they just stop breathing. And so just to keep on breathing and focusing on that very basic and fundamental thing. And I'm not really sure how that would play out, like, as an analogy, but I mean, physically, we've got to keep breathing, but then like in our business, when we come up against fear and we've got to make decisions, or we've got to, because life can be scary. So how do we breathe through our business? I don't have the answer for it, but it's just when you were talking about that gut reaction to just burst into tears. Oh my gosh. I mean, we all have different reasons that cause it, but we've all experienced it. So this is like such a great call to revisit. Thank you.
Thank you.
So
Kenzie.
So I have one more.
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
When you talked about taking the other guy out with the kayak and he went in the water and you forgot your fear because you focused on somebody else. Sometimes in the business, if we focus on the relationship instead of the actual business,
right,
before we know it, we're past the fearful zone.
Yep. Yeah, it really moves back into the serving others. If we can focus on the serving others, I really think that the rest of the stuff is it's just stuff. Okay, Kenzie, I'm putting you on the spot. I'd like to do a giveaway. You have to know. So I'm sure you know what oils you have. So let's do a giveaway.
Okay. How about, I know I have a couple deep blue rubs.
Perfect.
Yeah. Hold on, I gotta hurry and do my random search here. Just so you know, if your camera is not on, you don't go into the raffle.
That's a Mark rule.
Okay. Stacy, you are the winner.
Oh, there she is.
She's frozen.
Stacy, will you send me your address, please? Cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for showing up, you guys. I appreciate you being here with me. And if you know me, you know that this stuff makes me very nervous. Tuesdays are my days of just, because we have a sizzle every Tuesday night. And believe it or not, I've done this sizzle every Tuesday night for probably over 3 years. And Tuesdays, Mark will say, well, let's go do this, or let's go to dinner on Tuesday. And I'm like, no, I have a sizzle. He's like, it's 8 o'clock. I'm like, I don't care. I have to prepare. And it's like this, it's just this emotional kind of, because, and that is another thing of pushing past that. It's not really fear. It's just, I don't know what it is, but it's like, it's very uncomfortable for me moving into coming up to the time of having to talk in front of someone. It's just, and so you just do it. And when my sizzle is over, or like when this is over, it's kind of like my Friday night. Woohoo! I can do whatever. I'm free. So I appreciate you guys being here with me. It's it warms my heart to be able to have people that I care about and care about me to be here. It's a different kind of feeling. It's kind of like presenting to family. I guess that's what I'm saying. So I appreciate you guys being my family, and have an amazing day, and we will see you next week.